3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Unlearned and Reborn, a podcast where old habits are unlearned and new ones are reborn. Marriage is two people, honey. And that's why you're so tired and you're aggravated and you're irritated and you want to fuss all the time and you're just a negative Nancy because you don't have no energy left to be nice because you're so busy trying to, I don't know, be Superwoman or something. Baby, I gladly put that cape down and gave it to my husband. Hey, how y'all feel today? Got a new little setup. I wanted it to kind of be a more like it's you and me type feel. Y'all feel it? I like this setup. I really do. If you're listening, you're going to definitely have to go on YouTube to see what I'm talking about, but it's giving very much couch conversation. Today, I want to add to a series that I want to do called the Wifey Chronicles. If you want to be a wife, if you are a wife, this series is for you. Trust me and believe me. It definitely is going to be a good one. If you see me looking over to the side, it's because I got my notes right here. Folks that's watching on YouTube, so I promise y'all do have my undivided attention, but I got my laptop up because I want to make sure that I don't miss any points here. Me and my husband got married October 11th, 2017, which means our anniversary is in like 2 weeks. Let's give it up for that. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so in love. But yeah, so it'll be 5 years, October 11, 2017. And what inspired me to do this series is the fact that I don't really see, for me, I'm not saying they're not out there, but I don't really see a lot of women that are my age that are happily married and that are like talking about it. So I'm like, well, y'all didn't ask, but I'm going to still give it to you. So let's talk. So yes, I definitely want to talk to y'all about that. So, I knew nothing about marriage when I originally got married, right? I did not know, how challenging marriage was. I did not know how much of a mirror marriage is. I did not know how, I just didn't know that you are expected to be one. Like a true one. I don't want to say, I knew that, even in the Bible, it talks about like the two become one, but y'all got to get on the same page. And, I just didn't really get that initially, I didn't come into it like, oh, I'm going to do this. Well, I kind of was kind of like, I don't really need your help in a way because I definitely love having my husband's help. But I just found that, I just wasn't very open to different opinions and different, not doing things the way that I was used to doing them. So I really came into the marriage on it's my way or the highway. Like before I got married, I was the party, okay? I was the wife of the party, okay? I was not the life of the party, but look, once I got married, I was still the wife of the party, okay? Like that's just my personality. And even when I was like clubbing every weekend, like, baby, I was lit. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So when I got married in 2017 and I moved from Montana to Georgia, it was such a jarring change for me initially because I wasn't used to being in a long-term relationship. Like, the longest relationship I had been in prior to my husband was off and on for 3 years, and that was in high school. So, like, people that have married their high school sweethearts, hallelujah, that is so nice. That is inspiring. But for the rest of us that married the person that we met years later, hallelujah for us too. Okay, like for real. So, I had a lot of growing up to do, a lot of maturing to do. And it really took a lot of butting heads and a lot of arguing for me to realize, okay, sis, you just might be the problem. And I'm not saying like my husband was like he didn't have any blame, right? But it's like, sis, it really might be you. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you. It really might be you, mamas. Yeah, it's you. Like, I would be so triggered by a lot of things. Like when I moved down here, my husband had a good bit of female friends, and I was definitely not used to that. I'm like, no, I felt like, and with reason, I definitely felt like, they were more like tolerating me than actually, wanting to get to know me type thing. I mean, women, y'all know, like, it was a very awkwardness for me. And I found through that period, I'll probably say for the first like 2.5, 3 years, y'all, I was bending over backwards trying to get this group of people to like me. Like I was trying so hard to be likable and be this and be that. And it's like, ma'am, little do you know that, people that really rock with you for real, you shouldn't have to do any of that. Those people are going to rock with you regardless. And it's like, I didn't understand that. One of the reasons I didn't understand is because I'm like, okay, I didn't do anything. Like that's always my biggest thing. Like I would always tell my husband when I would have falling outs with girls, because I've had a lot of falling outs with female relationships, female friends, blah, blah, blah. And I would always tell him like, babe, I just don't understand what I did. And I'm not saying I was abstained. I didn't do any wrong, period, at all. I definitely did wrong in some of the falling outs, but I just didn't understand how there just wasn't really equal accountability, right? So, I had to learn how to set boundaries, as a wife now, because like I said, I got married when I was like, 21. So for 20 something years, for 20 years up to 21, I had, I'm not gonna lie, I probably really wasn't setting no boundaries with, friends. I wasn't really, I wasn't in a relationship I was single for maybe like 2 years or something before I actually got married to my husband. So I wasn't really used to having to say like, hey girl, I don't like when, you call my husband's phone late at night. I don't like when, you do it. And it felt so awkward to me because too, I had to learn that a lot of women did not think like how I thought. And my husband would tell me that often, babe, everybody don't think like you. And I used to be like, I mean, I know, but it's like looking back, hindsight, I'm like, yes, I really know now. Like women, there are some women that are literally walking this earth that have zero respect for your marriage. Zero. And y'all have to understand that, there's a certain way, a certain special way that you have to deal with those type of women so that you don't end up in the jailhouse. Because why are you trying to play? Like, why you want to play? I don't want to play. I don't want to play. And I found it very hard for me to, like like I said earlier, I was definitely just trying to fit in with them, like trying to just be in with them so we could go to movies together, so we could hang out. And I had to realize, like, Shania, for one, it's not even the fact that you really want to be these girls' friends. Like, are they cool? Sure. But are they your cup of tea? No. Like, y'all don't have nothing in common. Down to the type of music that they listen to, how they dress, how they talk, how they carry themselves. Nothing against them, but I was not like that at all. And I had to realize, like, Shania, first of all, let's be real here. You've moved to a whole new state, and all you really know so far is your husband. You haven't got a chance to really make any other friends. You're lonely. You're lonely. You want some friends. How many wives, if you're watching on YouTube, comment down below. How many of y'all have found it very difficult once you got married to keep sustainable friendships or to create friendships around your husband's friends? Okay, y'all friends with my husband's cool. We could be cool together, type thing. Like, how many of y'all have had that issue? Because it was a whole issue for me. It was definitely an issue. And I had to learn again with the boundaries to say, hey, I don't really like when you do this. And I found that it almost in a sense made it worse. Because I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Like, I'm telling you, but it's like, it's almost like now you're mad at me for telling you. And I don't know. I didn't understand, y'all. I couldn't get with it. And I want to tell y'all some of the things that I had to learn the hard way, right? So one, I had to learn how to be comfortable with who I was and to be comfortable with who I was as a wife. That's a whole other podcast. That's a whole other episode. Like, y'all, I found it really challenging to be comfortable in that space. I was young. 21 at the time, and me and my husband were like the only married people that we knew. That we knew of that, legitly wanted to be married. Like, yes, our first, few years of marriage was extremely hard. Absolutely. Arguing constantly. I'm telling him, like, I'm done with this, type stuff. But it's like, we had a very, very good foundation of, like, love, in my opinion. Like, and we saw a lot of people around us that did not make it. Like, we'll be 5 years in a couple of days, and y'all, we know a handful of couples that are divorced. Some have remarried since then. Some of them, are just, it just didn't work out for them. So, learning how to be comfortable in myself, I mean, if y'all have been watching the podcast, that took me years to finally settle in, and therapy absolutely helped me with that. I mean, with both things, learning how to be comfortable with myself and my role as a wife, because I felt so much insecurity when I would look at these other women that did not have the type of responsibility I had. I became a mom at 21 as well, I believe, or 22. And it was like, I'm looking at them and I'm like, man, like, they're living the dream. In a way, I found myself, some days I was regretful that I got married so young and that I started having children so young. And then the other part of it, I was so fearful because I'm like, I don't feel like I know what the heck I'm doing right now. Like, how many wives have y'all felt like that? Like, you get into this marriage after especially if you've had a beautiful ceremony. Me and my husband, we got married at the courthouse. Okay, the military style. Yes, ma'am. We got married at the courthouse. We do intend to have a really nice wedding. But yeah, we just did it at the courthouse. And, after the high of that, after you posted your pictures and you get the, oh girl, let me see the ring. You show off your ring and everything and all the bliss. I remember when those first couple challenges that we had in our marriage hit me and like I was actually going through them. I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is challenging. However, let me put a pin here. When you decide that you do want to get married, don't be fearful to the point where people's opinions and people that have had failed marriages, and no shade to them. But it's like, marriage is not all horrible, horrible, rain down on your parade showers. It's not all like that. You have cycles of marriage that you go through. You have seasons that you go through. Some seasons you may have grief of a loved one, loss of a loved one, loss of, a job. There's an extremely happy phase, promotion on the job, a new house, a new baby. There is the stress stage where it's the financial stress, a new baby, the new baby being, a newborn, that's stress on its own. A wife that is now a mother, there's also stress in that. Her body is changing. There's just so many different stages of marriage. And I found that I could not figure out how to navigate. I didn't know. I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. Like, my mom, I wanted to reach out sometimes, but I'm like, I know when we got married, a lot of the older people say, y'all need to keep people out y'all business. Don't be telling people y'all business. Don't do that. Don't do that. So I almost felt trapped sometimes because it's like the person I want to talk to, we not seeing eye to eye right now. So I don't want to talk to him. I want to talk to somebody else that's going to hear me out and tell me I'm right. You know what I mean? Like, just that it just showed the level of maturity that I was operating in at the time. And, now, I don't, no, I would say I probably did it like a couple of times where I still, reached out to other people like, hey, girl, I just really need to vent. But again, these were people that I trusted. I think I said something one time to someone and they end up like running off and telling people. And I said, oh, yeah. No, baby, you can't be trusted. You cannot be trusted. And that's another thing I had to learn the hard way, that you cannot tell everybody your business. You can't because there are some people that are praying, wishing, holding their hands together for your downfall, sweetie. Like, and some of them, y'all call them friends. I'm going to just tell you, like, yeah, of course, once you find out that they have a knife in your back, they're no longer your friend. But some of them are wolves in sheep's clothing. Yes. So being careful with that. Like, I didn't play about that whole, oh yeah, this my work husband. Girl, I will knock your head in between the wash and the dryer. Call my husband your work husband again. Do it. Please. Please do it. Like, I just felt like I was always in this stage of trying to prove myself. I'm a wife. Like, it's almost like, and the reason why I felt like that, in hindsight looking back, is because I didn't feel like I had all the necessary tools to confidently say that I was a wife. So I felt like I was always having to, showcase that. Oh, I'm a wife, y'all. Hey, y'all. I'm a wife. And not like walking around like, look at my ring, but just in how I would operate. My husband would want to go over to his friend's house to play the game, and I would make a huge fuss about that. You don't spend no time with me. I'm your wife. I used to love saying that. Oh, but I'm your wife. As your wife, I feel like, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, girl, mamas, relax. Like, you are his wife. Trust me. That was the thing that I had to, that was like the third thing. I don't know what number one, but that remembering that my husband chose me. He chose me in my uncut, unedited stage at Lackland Air Force Base in BMT. And that man saw something in me and said, I'm going to literally marry her. He literally told his friend. We'll have to, do a episode where me and my husband come on here and talk about, like, when he decided to make me his wife, because, sis is fine. But, yeah, so I felt there was such an insecurity in me, y'all, that I felt like if I didn't be on my P's and Q's at all times, that I was going to lose him. And like I said, it goes back to the fact that I didn't really, like, my parents divorced when I was young, so I didn't really have an example of marriage in my household. I will say that. And my husband, thank God for him, and, thank God for his parents, they've been married for over 20 years. So, like, shout out to all the parents, our parents, that have been married for, X amount of years, and they have the knowledge and the wisdom to be able to pour into us without belittling us. Because that's its whole thing. Like, I felt like there weren't any women that I could turn to and say, girl, like, how do I, not be so insecure that, I don't really like cooking, or, how do I not be so this and that? I really didn't have, my sisters were married, but, I really didn't have outside, people that I felt like I could trust enough to ask these questions. So, there's been times where people have called my husband, or they've even called me and, asked me, about, relationship advice. And a lot of people have called my husband and asked them, like, bruh, I'm really seeing this girl, like, I really think I want to, marry her. And my husband, the first thing my husband always tells him is that, listen, I'm going to tell you now, just because you don't use me as an example, because me and my wife are a 1 in a million type thing. Like, our type of situation normally does not work. You don't just meet a girl. And like we said, we didn't even meet. My husband saw me. We never spoke. I ended up adding him on Facebook because we had mutual friends. And, one thing led to another, and we started talking and everything like that. So, and actually staying together. Like, we've known people that got married around the same time as we did, and they're no longer together. So he's very quick to tell people, do not use me as the example. I am the exception to the rule. However, if that is something that you are wanting to do, my husband, he'll talk with them. And, for the most part, not that I know of, has he completely shunned it away. He just would definitely say things like, just make sure that you're sure as you can be, because honestly, I was sure that I wanted to be my husband's wife, but I did not know all the stuff that we would have to go through, for me to get here, to be sitting in front of this camera for this podcast. So, yeah, definitely wouldn't have played the cards out like that. So just learning how to be authentically myself, I had to learn that over a process of time, because it was almost like I went through a series of shedding old skin, shedding old beliefs, shedding old mindsets, because I felt like if I was not, just perfect at, this thing called marriage, or this thing called being a wife, like, okay, well, divorce. And my husband would always say, divorce is off the table. Like I said, I grew up in a divorced, style. So, in my eyes, I'm like, I know you saying that, but, I've seen it. It could, work. I could still, manage my life. I could still, do this. I was thinking a lot of I could, potential, girlfriends, fiancés, and potential wives, or even wives already, you know, that's a huge tip that I would definitely suggest to any woman that wants to be married. My mom told me, because I was a very independent girl growing up, for sure. Like, I really didn't need a lot of outside help. If I said I was going to do it, I put my mind to it and I was going to do it. My mom was like, Shania, you're doing great in school. You have great, amazing grades. You're a great person and everything. She was like, but just make sure that you leave room for somebody to come alongside of you. And, I think I was like in my senior year, and I didn't really understand that at the time. Like, okay, what does that mean? Why is she saying that? But it's like, as the years go on, and especially now, looking back, over our almost 5 years of marriage, I can understand why she said that, because a lot of times, women, especially if you are a single mother, and I'm not a single mother, but I've seen my mom be a single mother. So I'm talking, from the outside, looking at how things happened and worked for her. Being by yourself and having to carry responsibilities like that, you find yourself having that independent mentality, having that independent mindset that I can do bad all by myself. Comma, if a man decides to come alongside of you, comma, let him. Make room for him, because you cannot there are times where I'm so glad that my husband will take out the trash, because I personally cannot take out the trash. Yes. Do I like to touch the trash? No. It stinks. It smells like sewage and manure. So I'd rather my husband do it because he doesn't mind and that smell don't bother him. So, okay, what do I do in exchange? Okay, I'll bathe the boys, I'll cook, occasionally. I'll do, I'll fold up the clothes. I'll do, it's a true give and take. I just felt like I made this reality in my mind of this laundry list of things I had to always do in order to be a wife. Like, no. And it's like laughable now, because I remember, y'all, I had little things that I just would not allow to go undone. Like, I would not leave, like in the first probably 3 or so years of my marriage, I would not leave dishes in the sink at night, y'all. I just felt like, oh no, as a wife, I just have to make sure that, everything is just put away and it's squeakily clean. Like, I would spend hours, I would not eat. I would spend hours cleaning up the house, wiping down stuff, hanging up stuff, vacuuming. I was always, just trying to keep up this image in my mind that I created on my own, because my husband did not demand this out of me, but I created it. And I was like, okay, this is what a wife to me is. And I understand now, again, hindsight looking back and through therapy, that I created that in my mind because I did see dysfunction growing up. Like, just how much my mom was putting in, trying to take care of all of us. It was 5 of us. I still don't even understand how she does it, because I find myself with 2 and I'm married, so my husband will help. I find myself with 2, like, ooh, I'm glad, we agreed that we are only going to have one more child, and maybe that's kind of like a possible, a one in a possible. So it's just, I want y'all to really, really evaluate, if you're wanting to be a wife, make sure first that you have made proper space and have done the internal cleaning to even make room for a man to come alongside of you. Because if you got this, I can do better by myself, you can still get a man for sure. You bad, you beautiful, you can get a man. Are you going to be able to keep that man? Probably not, because his role is to provide and do. But if you're already doing and providing for yourself, eventually a good man would eventually leave because he feels like he has no purpose there. So I had to really, really let go and let him help me. And that was extremely hard. It was really hard for the simple fact that I felt like my method was the best. It was really hard for me to let go and let him do certain things. I'm just like, babe, you're not going to do it right. Like, no. Wives, have y'all seen y'all husband doing something, that you've asked, or he's doing it at the kindness of his heart, but the whole time you're cringing because you like, I do not I don't do it like that. Like my husband, when he washes dishes, he takes out the silverware rack and will load up the bottom, as much as he can, and put it in there and fit things in there right. But he'll leave the silverware rack full of clean utensils, and he won't put it away. He'll just leave it on the counter. Y'all, that thing be grinding my gears. Wives, also, how many of y'all husbands leave the cabinets and stuff open, at once they done cooking, or they go through them and then they just walk away? Sir, close them cabinets. Close them. Because guess what? I walk in there in the middle of the night and I walk into them. And now I got a knot on my forehead that looks like I get hands put on me because you didn't want to close the cabinets. You know what I mean? And it's like, now, does it still annoy me? Yes. But I would just close the cabinet or just put the utensils away. But 2017, Shania, oh yeah, no, we about to go at it for 2 hours about why you feel like you can play with me. Yeah. We about to discuss this. We are literally about to go at it, period. Because I work too hard cleaning. I told y'all, cleaning for 6 hours and stuff a day, and you can't even have the decency to close a cabinet and put up a fork? Oh no. And that's another, like, I'm joking, but I was so stressed during that period because I was trying to keep up this image, y'all. Like, I cannot, no. I cannot let him see my dirty clothes on the floor. And I rarely ever put my dirty clothes on the floor either. But it's like, oh yeah, when the baskets would get full, immediately I'm like, okay, I gotta handle that. I gotta do that. And it's like, marriage is two people, honey. And that's why you're so tired and you're aggravated and you're irritated and you want to fuss all the time and you're just a negative Nancy because you don't have no energy left to be nice because you're so busy trying to, I don't know, be Superwoman or something. Baby, I gladly put that cape down and gave it to my husband. And, I try my best to, if I ask him to do something, I'm not the best. Sometimes I still be getting on him about the same stuff over and over again because, like, why haven't you done it? But I definitely do try my best to allow him to do it his own way. I tell myself it used to be so hard for me to travel and leave the kids behind, like going to the store, y'all. Like, I used to just be like, something's going to happen to them. Because wives, seriously, y'all have seen how husbands babysit, and it's like you don't hear them. You don't hear them in there, stomping on each other. Like you don't hear them. Oh no, they'll be all right. They good. Like it's like when you leave them with the husbands, I promise you, they be doing everything. Like the look on my husband's face when I came home from the store one day, and Leo Vani had a pen. Our youngest, he had a pen. And he had that look on his face like, oh my gosh, my mama's about to, pop me. And I hadn't even seen the damage he done. And my husband's on the game with his headphones in, yelling, and one, let's go, baby. And I looked and I told Leo to come here. And then Braylon, of course, Mr. Tattletale, he get that from me. Don't come telling me, yeah, Leo took the pen. So then I went to where Braylon was showing me. And sure enough, pen all on the wall. While my husband is in there on the game, he got the door open. So that's his version of watching them. Okay, I got the door open. It's cool. It's good. Okay, yeah. Talking about hot. But it's like now, I don't allow those things to just ruin that kind of stuff. I used to think, oh my gosh, our marriage is over. Like, we would have arguments and I would just be like, that's fine. I'll pack a bag. I'll leave. Like, I don't even do that anymore. And I only would say those things is because I felt like, I would feel helpless sometimes because I'm like, Shania, you done moved all the way out here. You done picked up your whole life, moved out here. You're still in the military, so your job is out here. Now you have a child with this man. Like, he not my husband, with this man. And it's like, I just realized that a lot of the way I would think about problem solving, it came from what I saw in my own household. You don't like something, you leave. I know I'm putting that more simpler, because I'm sure there were other factors as to why, marriages didn't work and things like that. But in my child mind, that's what I equated. When things get tough, you leave. But see, my husband was the opposite. When things get tough, you double down and you stay. So we would always, he would always tell me like, you would have to be the one to file before me, because I said forever and I meant that. And it's like, now I can appreciate it and I can, really take it in and accept it. But there's still parts of me that are a little hard. I'm not going to lie. There are still parts of me where I'm just like, I'd rather do it myself. No, thank you. But, it comes with time. It comes with time and just understanding wifey. You belong. You belong here. You belong where you're at. And, if your marriage is healthy and it's thriving, then take some time to really, even spend time with your own self, away from your husband, away from your kids, just with your own self. When I started to get back into things that I love to do, I felt like I was able to really be confident in standing on my own. But when I had my life all entangled and, engulfed with just my husband, oh, I'm a wife, I'm a wife, I'm a wife, I'm a wife, I'm a wife. And then when I became a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a mom. And just, everything is always about them. It's always about them. Like, no, you have to take time where it's all about you. And when I decided to start taking time for myself and then, be the mom, be the wife, but I was Shania first. Always be you first. You have to put you first, because if not, being a mom and a wife will drain you. It will drain you to the core. And there will be nothing left for you to even pour out into your husband or your children, because you're so drained. And a lot of women, you're wondering why they're they're so attitudey and they're always mean. And you're like, oh, girl, I could not be your friend. I guarantee you, those women are drained. Those women are drained, So just, consider that. Evaluating, you want to be a wife? Great. The series is for you, because I'm not just only talking to women that already got the ring. I'm also going to be talking to women that are trying to get the ring. Hello. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Just understanding and really mastering you. That is the first step. And if you can do that, with time, the other stuff will come. But I was, like I said earlier, y'all, being so insecure, I hated when my husband would talk to other women like, oh, no, you're not about to be her friend. And it's like, I'm saying in a more simpler stuff, there was other things, involved, but I'm not going to really, turn it into a whole bashing session. But it's like, at the core, I was really, not okay with another woman potential. Like, I kind of felt like it was like a competition type thing. Okay, well, you might do this a certain way, but I'm gonna do it like this. And it's like, I got to a point where I was so tired of that. And I'm like, Shania, you are great just the way you are. You are great the way that you do it. You are great the way that you speak. You are great the way that you dress. You are great the way that you laugh. All of that. Just again, the self-validation that I always talk about on the pod, like validating yourself, because as great as my husband is, he's not going to always validate me. And that's okay. He might forget to say, babe, I really liked your hair the other day, which he rarely does. He rarely forgets. But, even if I'm having a down day, he might not think, okay, I'm going to do, this. So get in that mirror and validate your own self and tell yourself, girl, you got this. You are beautiful and you have purpose here. Okay? Listen, if you're listening on YouTube or if you're watching Apple Podcasts or Spotify, stop what you're doing and follow the show. Like, comment, subscribe. Here's my call to action for this episode. Comment down below if you aspire to be a wife, or if you already are a wife, what's one thing that you are willing to work on? Okay, I'll give you mine. The thing that I am willing to work on is my ability to see different perspectives. I've definitely gotten better over time, but there's some times where I'm just like, nah, I don't understand. Like, I just, no. And it's like, okay, take it a couple steps back and really just try to consider the way that he, where he's coming from, and try to just be a little bit more understanding. So yes, like, comment, subscribe. I have 65 subscribers as of recording this on YouTube, and I'm so excited for that. Clap it up for that, for sure. Yes, 65. We are on the road to 1,000. 1,000. Yes, I'm going to get the 1,000 because you're going to help me do it. You're going to share this video. You're going to share it with your friends and you're going to tell them to subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, you're going to be like, y'all, there's this amazing girl, Shania. She got a bomb podcast. You really need to listen and you need to follow and download those episodes. Okay? I love y'all. See y'all next week. Bye.